Welcome back. We continue with our new series tonight. This week's series is called Soros Politics of Crime, and our next guest took a lot of heat for exposing the activities of the billionaire, open border anarchist George Soros, exposing his activities in Europe. Take a listen.
George Soros recently gave Open Society, his organization, which of course campaigns for free movement of peoples and supports supranational structures like the European Union, he recently gave it $18 billion. And his influence here and in Brussels is truly extraordinary.
Nigel Farage was blasted by the media for those comments, many accusing him of anti-Semitism and of launching sinister attacks. And Nigel, former Brexit Party leader, joins us tonight to talk more about this. Sir, good to have you on. Give us your take of this man and what he is trying to achieve, whether it be here in the United States with his moves with funding some of these crazy district attorneys to what he's trying to achieve in your neck of the woods as well, in Europe and the UK.
Well, in that speech in the European Parliament, and good afternoon, yeah. I pointed out that Soros organisations himself had said there were 243 members of the European Parliament who were friends of Open Society. So I wrote to all 243. I asked them what funding they'd received, what gifts they'd received, what holidays they'd received. And you know what? Not a single one of them responded to my letter. So what he's been able to do, is to build the most extraordinary influence. But that number I mentioned, 18 billion, folks, I didn't say 18 million. I said 18 billion. There has never been anybody in the history of the world who has donated money to political causes on a scale like this. And be clear, Open Society is about the breakdown of the nation state, the breakdown of the traditional family, the removal or at least reduction of the church, religion, especially Christianity, as part of the makeup and build-up of really everything our countries have ever stood for.
Well, why do you think he wants to do that?
There are lots of theories about the Soros family in the early 1940s during Nazi occupation and what they did, because they were, Soros was born Jewish. But what they did during those years to survive has led to some extraordinary, almost bizarre guilt complex. I also think the amount of money he's made, again, leaves him feeling very guilty. It's a very odd psychology that we're dealing with. But, the interesting thing is this. You're not allowed to criticize Soros. I took heat, as you quite rightly pointed out, in those newspaper headlines. But I didn't give up because of that. I kept on inquiring as to what influence they were buying, how they were getting involved with ballot measures, referendums, backing any move to break down conservative Christian society. Mm-hmm. And I'm always called anti-Semitic for doing it. To be clear, George Soros is no longer Jewish. Right. He is an atheist. But there's so much money floating out there that nobody wants him criticized, and anyone that dares to do so gets blasted. But it's important, I think, as a matter of transparency, that we explain this man to people.
Specifically on the United States and the problem of crime in this country, what his goals are. When you have somebody that is funding district attorneys and funding causes that are creating crime and creating misery, and somehow he sees a virtue in this by funding these types of DAs that you see on the screen. I just don't understand where the logic in this lies.
Well, it's the same mistake, isn't it, that was made in 1917 in Russia by Lenin and the communists. There is this idea that the existing order is too corrupt, it's too bad. If you completely eliminate it, then human beings will find a new level, will find a new peace, there'll be harmony and goodwill, and we'll all love each other. And you know what? It sounds ever so tempting to lots of young people. It did 100 years ago, and it does to many young people today. The problem is it fundamentally misunderstands human nature, which is why it never, ever works. And actually, what we've learned are that good fences make good neighbours. Good borders give better relations between countries. And there will always be a percentage in society who will commit sometimes the most awful, heinous crimes. And that's why you need a police force. It's why you need prisons. And you do these things to protect the law-abiding majority. And Soros, the Marxists, the communists, fundamentally misunderstand human nature. Right. They are dreamers about the human condition. They are wrong. They are dangerous. And we, frankly, we're just the pragmatists. We want to live in democracy. We want to live in peace. But we understand that there are elements in society that we need to control.
And that side, I think the other side disregards most of society and only considers, I think in a lot of their policies, they only consider the criminal. They disregard the victim. To me, that's one of the scariest parts of their ideology, of what they believe, is that they just have this singular focus on the people that do wrong.
They've got it all the wrong way around, and they never learn. And, this sort of socialist, Marxist, globalist stuff, it goes away, and every 20 or 30 years, it comes back. And it gets taught in the universities and taught in the colleges, and lots of kids get taken in. What we ought to do, really, I think, is teach our youngsters about history, which is humankind doesn't change. It needs rules, it needs order, or it does not work.
Very well said. Nigel Farage. Sir, thank you so much for the time. Good to see you.